How's it, guys? This is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now, coming off the back of a relatively weird Game Week 6 where we had our classic dose of Pep Roulette and our benches came into handy a lot this game week, we're going to be answering your questions for Game Week 7. As I usually do with these previews over on my Twitter page at Dayvy FPL, I asked you guys for your questions or talking points for the upcoming Game Week 7, and this is exactly what this video is going to be going over. All the questions you asked, ranging from Chelsea's fixtures to a wildcard draft. I know every single preview we seem to have a wildcard draft, but you guys seem to absolutely love the wildcard draft, so hopefully that draft is quite informative. But without further ado, sit back, relax, and let's get into the preview. So firstly, just a little bit of a warning for you guys who don't know, the League Cup is back. Whether you call it the League Cup or Carabao Cup, same thing, but it is back. It's not like the previous round of fixtures where not a lot of the big teams played. Every single team is playing this round if they did not get knocked out the last round, obviously. So keep an eye out for injuries and minutes. So I've included this kind of fact about rotation worries around Man City, as I think the League Cup fixture team is going to be quite insightful to the team that starts on the weekend. The reason I'm saying this, as I said in the intro, there was a lot of Pep Roulette in the Premier League fixture for Game Week 6. So something that I'm keeping my eye on is ZINCHENKO. If he does start in the League Cup game, I'm going to be a little bit worried about his place in that starting 11 in the Premier League, as they do have that Champions League fixture the following game week. So I think if ZINCHENKO starts in the League Cup, he's pretty much assured to not start on the weekend, and then I'm going to be having to look at transferring him out. Luckily, he does start tonight. Man City do play tonight, so we can kind of get a lot of time to ponder over that transfer, but definitely one that's in my mind. We're going to be talking about ZINCHENKO a little bit later on in the video, but I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a reminder about the League Cup, and to please maybe try and postpone your transfers as far as possible to give you the most insight of how the League Cup kind of plays out. So the other thing I wanted to say is, do not worry if your players do not start tonight or tomorrow night in the League Cup. Generally, the bigger teams kind of take a little bit of a back step for the League Cup and they play most of their reserves or all their youngsters. So don't worry if your main starting striker is not playing for his team of choice tonight. Just kind of keep an eye on if he is playing and if he is getting injured. So a little bit of a reminder about the League Cup, but let's get into the main questions. So the first thing I wanted to give you guys a little bit of an insight on is the fixture swings that we are currently having. So I've put two kind of teams that have very good fixture swings, and that is Leicester and Chelsea. Both of these teams are quite similar. As you can see, they have a 5 rating fixture and a 4 rating fixture, and also they are similar in the way that they have not been that great defensively. I think both teams recently have shown their kind of a formility in defense. They've been a little bit more defensively assured, but still are kind of leaking goals, and those mistakes are creeping in that are forcing them to concede. So one thing I'm kind of keeping my eye on is the budget options from both of these squads. We're going to be talking about the defenses a little bit later, but you kind of have your players that you all know from Leicester, the Vardys and Madisons, and then from Chelsea you got the youngsters of Abraham and Mount in that attacking department, but their defenses are kind of the intriguing part, as they do have a couple of 4.5 options. So definitely two teams that I'm keeping my eye on. I wanted to give you guys a little bit of a reminder of these fixture swings, as I think especially the likes of Leicester are going a little bit under the radar. They are challenging for that top 4 spot and are looking in great form. I know the Manchester United fixture wasn't the best depiction of their squad, but the recent game against Spurs showed their resilience to come back and win that game at the end of it. So with Chelsea, we kind of all know about their fixtures and their players, but with Leicester, a little bit of an underdog here, so a team that you could potentially be looking at for your transfers in. So if you are making transfers or using your wildcard, I definitely would focus on these two teams, as they do have nice fixtures in the long run, and therefore you're reducing your transfers needed to make in the future. So now with Chelsea defense, it was a big question because we kind of are going over the ZINCHENKO replacement. So if you are looking at one of the Chelsea options, I've put 3 of the best Chelsea options in my opinion, and that is my opinion, but I think these are kind of safe options to go for. The first one is Tomori. Apologies if I am butchering that name. He's not that well known, so I don't think many people are going to be that mad about it, but he is 4.5 million. And I think a lot of people are going to be looking at that price tag and seeing a potential top 4 defense there and are absolutely loving his price. So at 4.5, he's played 270 minutes. I know that's quite relatively low, but in the last 3 games, he's played all 90 minutes. And I must say, against Liverpool, he was looking absolutely sensational. He had pace and was able to deal with Mohamed Salah very well. And I think the comments after the game by the manager Frank Lampard assures us that he's probably going to be starting the upcoming games. The one thing to note is that the Chelsea defense has a lot of injuries, so if potential players like Rudiger and Christensen come back, we could maybe be looking at some rotation in the centre-back department. So we do have other more assured Chelsea starters, but I think at 4.5, it's worth taking a punt on. You definitely saw his wonder goal in game week 6, which brought him up in the FPL points. But I think definitely someone that I'm keeping my eye on, especially because of, as I said, Frank Lampard's comments that he should be starting the next couple game weeks. And with Chelsea's fixtures looking so good, definitely worth a punt. The kind of safe option to go for is Azpilicueta. Comes in at 5.9 million, has got 2 assists, 0 goals, but has played every single minute. And you will see, especially against the likes of Liverpool, the Chelsea wingbacks were getting quite forward, and Azpilicueta always loves a cross in the box and definitely wears his heart on his sleeve and gives it all for his team. So Azpilicueta has always been in my eyes as a really good FPL option, as he's very solid and consistent. And I think if Chelsea can kind of wrap up these clean sheets, he's going to be definitely one of the best FPL options in the game. And now my kind of wildcard pick, and obviously this depends on the fitness of Emerson, but if Emerson is out for a while, I definitely will be looking at Alonso, and in my opinion is the best Chelsea defensive option to go for. You just had to watch the Liverpool vs Chelsea game to show how attacking he is. I know defensively he's not that assured, but on attacking department he's absolutely sensational. He was getting crosses in for days, and he just loves getting forward. Comes in a little bit more pricey than the likes of Azpilicueta at 6.2, but I think he's definitely worth it. He's only played 166 minutes and managed to get an assist in that, and I think if he is an assured starter in that Chelsea lineup, he's going to be getting masses of goals and assists, and I'm definitely going to be looking at getting him in my squad. But as I said, kind of dependent on Emerson's injury. He did come off in the 15th minute against Liverpool, so we can kind of see and get a kind of indication from Frank Lampard, hopefully before the game week 7 deadline, and then we can make this transition. So in this kind of category, I've got really a budget option and then 2 premium options, and you kind of just have to go for whatever budget kind of constraints you have. And now with other ZINCHENKO replacements, if you don't really favor that Chelsea defense and are looking at maybe getting another player in, I would look at these 3 players. So the first player is Soyuncu from Leicester. The 4.5 could rise to about 4.6 or 4.7, so just keep your eye on that price rise. But he's been absolutely stellar for that Leicester lineup. I know they've only kept 1 clean sheet and he's only got 1 assist. He has played every single minute though, which shows that he's a set starter in that Leicester lineup. And as I said, with their fixtures being so good now, you could take a punt on him. Definitely a budget option to consider. You could go for maybe other Leicester options such as Pereira or Chilwell, who come in more expensive but offer better attacking threat. But in my opinion, Soyuncu is a perfect option to go for, worth taking a punt on because of his price, and definitely looks to be in good form. The other option is kind of a set replacement in my opinion, and the best kind of option to go for in this price bracket is Otamendi. He was substituted in the 62nd minute, but so that shows that kind of Pep wants to keep him fresh, wants to keep him ready for upcoming fixtures, especially with that drought of centre-backs in that Man City lineup with the injuries to Laporte and Stones. So Otamendi is probably going to be playing most minutes, and I think that he does offer that Man City defense, which we're all kind of hoping to get into our lineups. He's offered 1 goal and 1 assist coming in game week 6 against Watford. That 8-0 battering certainly proved fruitful for that Man City defense, and he does have 2 clean sheets, which is one of the highest in the Premier League. There hasn't been that many clean sheets happening, so it's nice to see that Man City are still kind of consistent in getting them. He has played 422 minutes. He was kind of not favoured at the start of the season, but he's come into more favourability for Pep Guardiola, especially because of these injuries. So definitely my kind of option that I would go for. Comes in at the same price as Zinchenko after Zinchenko's price drop last night. So definitely one to get into your squads if you kind of want to get a no-brainer move and just go for someone safe. Then we have Peters from Burnley. If you don't have Pope, I would go for Peters. Pope is the best Burnley option in my opinion for their defense, but comes in with 2 clean sheets and has played every single minute. He got 2 assists which come in the first game week of the season, so not that great attacking form recently, but if you want to go for someone different, I would look at Peters from Burnley. Now going on to another question was kind of the Wilson versus Abraham, and in brackets I've included Haller because a lot of people are considering going from Haller to Abraham this game week. But if you are moving from Haller to Abraham, I don't think I would go for that move. Haller does have Bournemouth, who are quite bad defensively. I would know since I'm an Ake owner and he has not kept any clean sheets this season. So I think that I would keep Haller for this game week and kind of give him a last game week to kind of perform. Then I would look at transferring him out. But the main choice between Wilson and Abraham, over the next 4 fixtures, I have to say that Abraham's fixtures are a little bit worse than Wilson's. Wilson has those lovely home fixtures against West Ham and Norwich, and then plays the likes of Watford, who are defensively atrocious. Whereas Abraham does probably have some better fixtures, as Bournemouth do have Arsenal, but I think overall Wilson's fixtures are better. Abraham probably has the better form. Wilson has been a little bit lackluster with these shots, only getting that lucky shot against Southampton after that keeper mess up. So I think Abraham probably the better option long term, but if you are keeping Wilson for the next 4, I would just keep him and not transfer him to Abraham and kind of lap up those points that Wilson has consistently been returning each week. So the next kind of talking point we're going to be going over is captaincy. So I've put my favorite 3 captains here for the upcoming game week. You probably are seeing the notable miss of the Liverpool attackers. I just simply don't think that Sheffield United are going to put out that many goals. They've only conceded a maximum of 2 goals over the opening kind of game weeks. So I think Liverpool will win, but I don't think they're going to be winning convincingly. So I've opted for these kind of options that I think will be getting better returns. You've got the likes of Aguero. Obviously, you can go for any Man City option, but my personal favorite is Aguero. If he doesn't start tonight, he's a set starter for that game against Everton. It is an away fixture, but Man City always beat Everton away, and it's usually by about 2 or 3 goals. Man City have scored 5 goals over the last 2 travels to Goodison Park, so I'm expecting them to comfortably win and get a couple goals, and then you got to be backing Aguero to be getting on the score sheet. So you could go for any Man City option. Me personally, I have Sterling, so I'll probably go for him, but you could also opt for the likes of De Bruyne. I just simply favor De Bruyne a little bit more at home, so if it was a home fixture, I'd probably be looking at De Bruyne, but Aguero for now looks like the best Man City option, and personally, I think the best captaincy option for Game Week 7. You do have the likes of Tammy Abraham, who has Brighton at home. I don't really know what to think about this Brighton fixture, as one game week they are conceding tons of goals, but the next game week they're looking quite defensively sure. But I think that with that more attacking style that Brighton now play for, I think that Abraham's going to be getting on the score sheet here, and one to kind of captain if you do own him. And I want to go for a little bit of a differential pick. I don't think a lot of people will be captaining the Chelsea striker. One to also keep your eye on, as he did apparently pick up a little bit of a knock, but I don't think it was that bad. But in the League Cup, I don't think he's going to be starting. If he does, maybe just monitor his minutes a little bit, but I think for the weekend looks a great captaincy option. Then the last option is Son from Spurs. Southampton at home should be a comfortable win for Spurs, and I think that Son is the better FPL option than Harry Kane. Gets a little bit more forward and is a little bit more clinical and a little bit more selfish than Harry Kane, so one that I'm kind of looking at maybe transferring him in, as Spurs do have some very nice fixtures. But another kind of differential option that you could go for, and I do think you'll be getting some returns this game week. So all 3 are kind of good options. Obviously you can go for whatever you want to, but I think these are probably the best 3 in my personal opinion. So finally, getting onto the wildcard draft. I'm sorry if it's taken so long, if this has been the only kind of talking point you wanted to get into, but I'll be talking about kind of the options here, the different options that I've kind of gone for. Obviously in goal, I've kind of gone for the standard Pope. I think that Pope's fixtures are better than Ryan's from Brighton, so I've opted for him. And then in my defense, I've gone for some premium options and some cheaper options. As you can see, I've gone for Alonso. I spoke about him in the preview. I think that he's a great option if Emerson is injured. If Emerson comes back, then I think you can kind of just downgrade him to that 4.5 Chelsea defender of Tomori. So I've also opted for Sionchu at 4.6 million. The less Leicester, man, they have great fixtures there, kind of sharing those nice fixtures with Chelsea. I think that Alonso is going to be getting you a lot of attacking points, and that's exactly what we want from a premium option. I've then gone for Alexander-Arnold over Robertson, as he does offer that free kick kind of set piece threat. He showed it on the weekend against Chelsea, getting that goal. So definitely Alexander-Arnold looks the better option than Robertson, in my opinion. Then I've gone for Otamendi as the safe option to go for in that Man City defense. I just think that he's going to be playing every single minute, and we do want a Man City defender, in my opinion. The likes of Mendy offers more attacking threat, but I think a little bit more risky. So Otamendi, kind of a safe pick, in my opinion. Then Lundstrom, you all know about him. The top scoring FPL defender, playing out of position in that Sheffield United lineup, getting an assist and a clean sheet this weekend, kind of saving a lot of people's FPL teams. So he's coming straight in the lineup and probably won't leave for the foreseeable future. Then in midfield is kind of where we've shaked things up a little bit. I've opted for Maddison due to his kind of attacking threat. I know he is yellow flagged at the moment, but I'm expecting him to kind of recover from that injury. But if he does not recover, we might see a little bit of a switch around on this lineup and maybe try and get a Liverpool attacker back in. But Maddison right now, 7.1 looks good value. And as I said with Söyüncü, great Leicester fixtures. Then Son, who I've already spoken about with captaincy options, a great option, and in my opinion, the best FPL option from Spurs. With De Bruyne, great form, probably the most informed player, especially in midfield, in probably the whole world. So he's coming straight into my lineup and keeping there. Cantwell, just the cheap option, should hopefully perform well over the upcoming FPL games and overall in the season. Then we have Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham, kind of the youngster duo from Chelsea. Great fixtures, very attacking duo, and I think they kind of offer a little bit of a cheap alternative to most expensive duos, the likes of Aguero, probably De Bruyne. Reminds me a little bit of Cantwell and Pukki, as they are quite cheap. And in attack, I've gone for Aguero, my favorite FPL option from Man City, and I think the best FPL option. And I think if you are wildcarding, you might as well try and get him in. And then obviously Pukki, who we don't have to talk about. He hasn't really been on that much goal-scoring threat recently, but I think over the entire season he's going to be performing well. And at 6.9, kind of give him a little bit of a break every now and again. I think he won't be scoring goals every game week, but hopefully every second or third game week will be perfectly fine, in my opinion, at that price. So obviously you can switch this team around, kind of fit your style, how you want to play. Maybe you want to go for a little bit more money in midfield with the likes of Sterling or Salah. But I think with Liverpool's hard fixtures coming up, you can kind of get away with the likes of Maddison and Son, and then transfer them out as soon as Liverpool's fixtures become good again. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, guys, and stay tuned for the team selection / team review / team preview coming in later in the week, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you are new and hit those notification bell for notifications on my videos so you don't miss any of them. But otherwise, thanks for watching the video. Please like if you did enjoy, and it helps support the channel. Otherwise, follow me on Twitter at DayvyFPL, where you can get your questions in every single game week, and hopefully I do answer them. But otherwise, I'm going to be signing off. This has been DayvyFPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.